But to be devil's advocate, why would this suddenly be a difference, right? We've had claims being made every winter that Russia's going to suffer. It's going to be a tough, dark winter for the Russian people. But each time it's not ever been as bad as some people have suggested, or some people predicted that sanctions would bite much sooner, and they haven't. So what particularly in this situation makes it different?
Well, I disagree with you. I think that every winter for Russians was darker than the previous one.
Then why no backlash?
True. What kind of backlash are you expecting?
Well, more resistance amongst people. If they're so suffering as people claim, why don't the Russians deal with it more, with more resistance?
That's a dead end. Don't go there. Because Russians are not the English, not the Irish, not the Americans. There will be no backlash. Even if Russian people starve to death, they will not go protesting. Some of them, not a big portion, will go protest, but majority will not. Now, let me give you another personal story. That's something that I witnessed. A city of Rostov-on-Don. Right next to it, there's a large suburb called Chelter,
Mm-hmm.
and a mobilization is announced 1st of September, and there are summons to young men, someone's sons and husbands, and summons to go and fight in Ukraine. Basically, it's a summon, one-way ticket. A lot, even back then, knew that they would not be coming back. Main square in Chelter, and there are police cruisers, police cars, and 2 or 3 buses with mobilization people, mobilization officers. They come to the main square, and the order for those who were summoned to be mobilized to come with their belongings packed to the main square, where they will be picked up by buses voluntarily. And then the families come. Mothers and fathers bring their sons. Grandfathers, grandmothers are their wives, sisters, kids. And everyone cries. And they say goodbye to their sons and husbands. But the parents give their own children to these people to not see them ever again. And everyone cries. And I witnessed it. And everyone has tears running down their cheeks, But they give their children. They voluntarily send them to the meat grinder. Now, Pyotr, tell me, those people you think will be protesting if all of a sudden their living standard drops? No, I don't think so. Okay? There's a certain percentage of Russians. That's not a lot. And I remember how the USSR fell apart. Not because of people all of a sudden decided to live differently, but there was a black swan event that started the chain reaction. And people, after certain steps by the state, by the army, when they saw where the situation was developing, they started coming to the streets. But they were not the initiators. They were just jumping on the bandwagon. I remember that time clearly. 19th of August, everyone was quiet. People didn't know what to do. They were just sitting in their apartments. That's it, discussing heavily. But that was it. And only 20th they started coming to the streets, because when they saw certain developments. I think the fall of Putin regime will happen in a similar way. There will be a black swan event. And
Okay.
well, that's my speculations. Don't quote me on that. I forecast, well, not forecast, I predict, I guess that would be the right word, is that there will be a power struggle between two more political clans, because the pie is shrinking for them, and they fight even more fiercely with each other right now. And then there will be some kind of a event that'll trigger, it's like a little sparkle that just will catch on fire. And then Russian people will join this development. But they know that there will be no backlash, economic backlash. So I don't even look that way.
Interesting. So what happens then if Ukraine, the combination of Ukraine keeping up its various strikes across the country on the oil refineries and the sanctions from America are hitting Russia's industries internally. The combination of these two compounding as we approach winter, over the winter, what kind of impacts can we expect?
That's going to be very difficult for Russians. And again, for the fourth time, I forecast a very difficult winter for Russian people. We have seen blackouts. We have seen outages of like this interruption in water service, interruption in like sewage service, garbage removal. Now we're seeing fuel shortages. And in some provinces, they're pretty bad. Like in Crimea, even in Moscow, there are outages. Not massive, but we have seen them. No one is protesting. People will simply be living worse and worse. The living standard will be dropping more and more. And eventually will go down to how we lived in the USSR. We couldn't buy butter without special ration cards. Russia is a long way ahead of to go to that point. So right now, Russians living 100,000% better than they lived in the USSR, and then that's where they are heading back to that misery. And they lived in misery for 70 years, and then they are very used to that, especially older folks. The internet, it doesn't work in many provinces any longer. Mobile internet, there are interruptions with communication services, Telegram. It's becoming worse and worse. It's really bad now already, and it's going to get worse. In the city of Rostov-on-Don, and it's what I'm going to be speaking of in my tonight's crazy news update. There's electricity crisis looming on the horizon. There are rolling blackouts in different Russian cities, Rostov and other ones, and it's going to get worse, not getting any better.